through the college, you may be very, very well versed on new ideas or so, but you should never close your ears or hesitate to listen to advice of people that have physically operated, worked in the field, and seen what is happening.
That's right.
So many times you will find that you have grand ideas or so, but it will never hurt you to start talking to somebody that has physically been out there, seen it, seen how well things are working, and maybe how difficult some of the best planned things sometimes turn out to be.
Don't work so well. I agree.
Yes.
Guido, it has been a pleasure. I know you're retired, but you're still doing consulting work.
Yes.
I wish you best of health and keep it up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gary Westerhoff is the former chair and chief executive officer of Malcolm Perney and longtime director of Malcolm Perney's drinking water programs. Gary is a leading national expert with more than 40 years of experience on water treatment systems, water resources planning, and in management of water utilities. Gary is a member of the National Academy of Engineering and has held leadership positions in national and international professional societies. He has authored more than 100 articles on drinking water and was the lead author on 2 books published by AWWA, The Changing Water Utility, Creative Approaches to Effectiveness and Efficiency in 1998, and The Evolving Water Utility, Pathways to Higher Performance in 2003. His latest book that he co-authored, Activated Carbon Solutions for Improving Water Quality, was published in January 2013 by AWWA. Gary is a licensed professional engineer in 14 states and a professional planner in New Jersey. Gary holds a BS and MS degrees in engineering from the New Jersey Institute of Technology and is an honorary member of the American Water Works Association and former member of the National Research Council's Water, Science, and Technology Board. Gary was retired in 2008, and he continues his passion for fly fishing throughout North, Central, and South America, and is a professional photographer specializing in landscape and wildlife photography. Hey, it's my honor to be interviewing Gary Westerhoff today. Gary, I've known Gary for 26 years. I actually started working for Gary when I got a job out of college, and it is really an honor to be here with Gary. To kind of renew acquaintances and really follow Gary's career. And I view Gary as one of the icons in the industry that I've tried to at least model my career after in part. So with that, Gary, I'd like to start off by asking you, about your 4 decades in the water industry and what influenced your interest in water and at Malcolm Perney.
Well, first of all, let me thank you for having me part of this program. I think it's a terrific program, and I'm glad that I was selected to be part of it. My story with the water industry, I think, is a very interesting one. I got out of college, North College of Engineering, with a BS degree in sanitary engineering at the time in 1957. And when I got out, of course, I had a degree, so I went around and put a resume together and went to a number of engineering firms, and I said, here I am, you can hire me if you want. Well, at that time, nobody wanted to hire me because I didn't have any experience. Only one firm said, well, we would hire you, except you need to get some experience. Go out and get 5 years experience, and then come back and talk to us again. And that firm was Malcolm Perney. So I did exactly what they asked me to do. I went to 2 smaller firms, I designed 2 wastewater treatment plants, and I walked into one of the partners' offices in Paramus. 5 years later, with a bundle of drawings under my arms, I said, I'm back. He said, you're back for what? I said, well, you told me to come back when I had 5 years experience, and I do. Well, he thought that was pretty bold and talked to another partner, and they ended up hiring me. And that was in 1965. And I've been with Perney ever since, and it's just been absolutely terrific.
So I guess, part of the New Jersey history, the legacy is NJIT, and there's many proud alumni of that institution. During your career, as far as regulations, I mean, you've seen the whole gamut from when it started out where we're just removing, as my colleague Mike Opaleski says, just making the water taste good a little bit and getting some of the bacteria out. But now we have many more regulations. Maybe you can kind of identify some of the pivotal points in the regulatory framework that affected your career.
a lot of it started with Rachel Carlson in the Silent Spring in 1972, and kind of paralleling along with that book, we had the Safe Drinking Water Act, the Clean Water Act, the Superfund Act, and out of those, a lot of amendments and a lot of regulations. And so you talk about somebody being in the right place at the right time. I was like in the, I had everything there. Everything was expanding, population was expanding, and people just needed the service. I was fortunate to have my first job with Erie County Water Authority up in upstate New York, outside of suburban Buffalo. And they needed to expand their plant. They needed to upgrade their plant. And I ended up with a very good relationship with their executive director, Joe Wandez. And the two of us decided, well, if we're going to expand this plant, we're not going to follow 10 state standards, which was the kind of cookbook that you did at the time. Conservative as all heck.
Right.
We said, this water that we're treating is different than somebody else's water, so we're going to design a system that treats this water. We convinced the New York State Department of Health to go along with us and do that, and said, let us expand the plant, and we'll demonstrate to you that we can produce as good or better water as that which the existing plants were doing under 10 state standards. We did, they accepted it, and it kind of opened the stage, I think, in the country for water systems, particularly large water systems, to introduce high-rate sedimentation, high-rate filtration, particularly design a system so that it was designed for that raw water and not just out of a cookbook.
Wow. So you were bold in your career, and you mentioned a couple of things. One is Rachel Carson's book. I'd like to kind of go down that vein, and a pivotal book written more for not an engineering book. You mentioned not an engineering textbook, yet that influenced your career, and yet you're an author too as well, and not only a technical author, but you've kind of morphed your career post-retirement into wildlife books. I'd like you to talk about the importance of literature, of reading, books on your career. What books made a huge difference in your life, and how did that affect your career?
I think so many of the books that are put together by AWWA, and all of my books were published by AWWA, and I think it gave us an opportunity. I started by presenting papers at section meetings. This happened to be New York section at the time, and at the larger meetings, at the national meetings. And AWWA began asking, well, with this experience, can't you put it down in a book?
Right.
And so I did, and that was the first book. And that book came out at about the time in 1998 when a number of large organizations were trying to privatize water systems.
Okay.
And AWWA said, our members really want to know how somebody can come in and save 25 or 30% in the cost, and we can't do it ourselves. And so the first book that we put together was improving the effectiveness and efficiency of your plants, the methods and the means to do that. That kind of morphed itself 5 years later when AWWA came back, and they said, well, now they want to know what all the different plants that have tried these methods that you put in your first book have done. And that led to the second book of the evolving water utility, how they were evolving to meet new regulations, to meet becoming more effective and more efficient. And putting all those books together, I needed to do a tremendous amount of research. And it was not only in the water field, but it was also in management areas particularly.
Okay, and how did you manage? I mean, you were the CEO of Malcolm Perney, a senior person within the organizational structure. How did you find time to write the books, run an organization, deal with personnel issues, and then were you staying up till 3 and balance the family life? Maybe you can comment on that.
It was busy times.
It was busy times.
But at that time, of course, I wasn't CEO.
Okay.
I was running the New Jersey office. I think, as you know,
right,
you were there.
Right.
And Perney was a firm that really believed, from the founder itself, Malcolm Perney Sr., that we had to give back to the industry as much as the industry was given to us. And so I had really a total support from Malcolm Perney to devote time to AWWA, to writing books. And we'll get into writing books maybe later on,
Right.
but it's something that does take a lot of time. And I thought it was fun. I like to be busy.
Right.
and I had a good time doing it.
Well, maybe for some of the newer people that are getting